In this WrestleTalk news, a CM Punk AEW future update, WWE return plans for The Rock revealed, and Tempest review of last night's Smackdown. Subscribe and enable notification to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
CM Punk headlining another day of news. Stop me if you're getting a small sense of deja vu. But fear not, it looks like this story may finally be reaching its conclusion before the year is out. At least I hope. As reported yesterday by the Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, CM Punk is reportedly still under contract and getting paid by AEW. However, Punk himself is said to be ready and willing to move on to his next project. Now, it's obviously unclear whether Punk's next project pertains to the world of professional wrestling or not, as it was reported previously that Punk had caught the wrestling bug again since being back in AEW. However, that feeling may have dissipated given the sourness of his impending AEW exit. While Punk's real AEW future may be undecided, what about his AEW video game future? Punk was previously to be the most prominent cover star of the upcoming AEW Fight Forever game prior to the All Out Fallout, but was since removed in a follow-up design revealed 2 weeks ago. While many anticipated AEW to make this change, the more important question was whatever AEW planned to go a step further and remove Punk from the game altogether. According to a new report from Sportskeeda, AEW stated that anyone who has already been marketed for the game will not be removed without a public statement first. And as that has not yet happened, it looks like Punk will make it to the final release. Whenever that ends up being, hopefully soon, it's become like a never-ending story. I mean, the game's coming out, right? Right? I need to recreate the brawlout in the video game form as soon as possible. Now, there has been numerous reports this week conflicting with each other regarding the length, nature of William Regal's AEW contract, one that he is believed to have signed at some point in February, March earlier this year. Meltzer first said Regal signed a 1-year deal, which was then corrected and believed to be a 3-year deal. Brian Alvarez, a Wrestling Observer, also added that he believed Regal had a Triple H WWE out clause in his contract that it could allow him to leave his deal early. Then to add to the confusion, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful stated that he believed Regal's deal was up in December of this year. Jeez, who knows at this point? SRS report seems to add up given the timing of Regal being seemingly written off TV this week. A decision that has reportedly left a lot of people within the company confused with TK's booking, according to Dave Meltzer in his most recent Wrestling Observer newsletter. I can't understand putting so much heel steam to the point of being the point man and stealing the title when it was known by the key people by this point he was gone in a few weeks. I mean, story or not, the guy was leaving. A lot of talent has questioned that in some way now that everyone knows he's leaving. Meltzer also said that Regal to WWE is basically a given at this point. So it looks like MJF's attack on Regal was done to write him off for good, while also setting up a program with Danielson going forward. I am looking forward to that. Matches destined to be bangers. Switching gears to the WWE main event scene now, and the speculation and expectation surrounding WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood is and always has been regarded the much rumored Roman Reigns versus The Rock match. While the match has always hinged on Dwayne's incredibly busy schedule and wherever he can squeeze it in, that hasn't stopped WWE making some tentative plans for Rocky on the road to Mania. As reported by Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, plans have involved The Rock and the Royal Rumble match itself, with Rock potentially entering the match as a surprise final entrant and winning. These plans are described as pie in the sky by Dave's internal WWE sources that, as mentioned, they'll ultimately hinge on Johnson's availability and willingness to commit. The idea was being talked about behind the scene, but as best we can tell, while rumors certainly exist within the company, as far as those who would be in the position to know, there is no real answer. If Johnson wants to do it and can be sold on the idea, it would be the most perfect scenario for the company. Meltzer notes that WWE have a deadline of around mid-January to finalize the plans, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, off to Tempest.
We kick off SmackDown with the single best thing in the entire world of sports and entertainment, Sami Zayn. Sorry, World Cup, or whatever it is you viewers like. Sami is forced to shimmy around the ring while a full recap of Survivor Series plays, and then we get more excellent storytelling. Sami tries to give credit to the Usos for War Games, but Jimmy immediately cuts him off and says they're not doing that. He says tonight is all about Sami because Sami was the MVP of War Games. No, Jimmy, MVP is on Raw. I know it's easy to get them confused. They look very similar. Jay says he didn't like Sami, but at War Games, Sami earned his respect. They ask Sami how he's feeling, and Sami says the line, Bart, Usi. They all do the little handshake they got, and then the Brawling Brutes came out with Sheamus saying that by the end of the night, Sami will have a smile on his face, and I'm still trying to piece that together, and then they rush the ring. This led to our opening match between Sheamus and Sami, which I thought was very interesting, as I kind of figured Sheamus would be Roman's next challenger for a big SmackDown before the Royal Rumble, but maybe that's just my incorrect booking brain because Sami Zayn got the big win here. This was a very strong match with a couple of teases of Sheamus' chest strikes before he actually hit them, and then the Bloodline started getting involved at the end, allowing Sami to hit a blue thunderbomb for a near fall. The Brutes tried to neutralize the Usos, but Solo Sikoa overwhelmed them, allowing Jey Uso, and that bit's important, to hit a super kick on Sheamus to allow Sami to roll him up and get the win. The Bloodline is all on the same page, and Jey Uso helped Sami to win this match. Logical progression, good match, Sami wins, that's a W. 4 out of 5. We get another excellent pre-recorded promo from Legado del Fantasma where they were playing pool, playing cards, drinking and smoking cigars, and we've said this before, but giving a person or group their own style of promo adds so much to the presentation of their character. Kofi Kingston declares for the Royal Rumble match and is asked about the main event when he's interrupted by Imperium. Kofi says he'll go one-on-one with any of them tonight, and Walter walks in from off-screen and says Kofi will fight him. Bray Wyatt cuts a backstage promo where he is significantly more unhinged than he has been recently, talking about how we're all animals and snakes eat rats and such. He said he didn't attack LA Knight, and if he had, there'd be nothing left. This felt like a much more familiar cult leader Bray promo, with him going on about something spooky, and it is fine. This probably could just be nudged along a little bit. If they're going to hold off on Bray versus LA Knight until the Royal Rumble, I'm gonna need a little bit more to keep me interested. Shayna Baszler takes on Emma, but before the match, Emma is talking to Madcap Moss, who tells her she's a trailblazer and the women's revolution doesn't happen without her. I know Emma was a big part of the early days of NXT, but that feels like a reach. She kisses him on the cheek and then gets her ass handed to her, submitting to the Kirifuda clutch. After the match, Shayna tried to break Emma's arm, and Shotzi makes the save. Well, she doesn't, because Shayna immediately takes her down and tries to break her arm, and then Raquel actually makes the save. In kayfabe, Shotzi sucks. This match was pretty cold, 2 out of 5. Lacey Evans is going back to boot camp as I get a look at the inside of my skull with my eyes rolling all the way back into my head. We got a pre-recorded Ricochet promo of him in the gym, and I love how they have built up the final of the SmackDown World Cup to feel important with these video packages. Walter then took on Kofi Kingston in a very fun TV match. Walter's matches always feel distinct from everyone else on the roster, and that really is one of his greatest strengths. Braun Strowman cleared out Imperium from ringside, and Kofi got a near fall with the SOS. Kofi kicked out of the powerbomb, which I found surprising, and so Walter hit an Emerald Flosion, which he is calling the Last Symphony, to get the win. And so Walter has added yet another possible match-ending move to his arsenal. This was a fun match indeed. I swear to God if Braun Strowman wins this title. 3 out of 5. The Bloodline are about to leave the building, and the Usos stay behind for a little chat. Jimmy says that he can't believe Sami's in the Bloodline and Jay is okay with it, but he said it in a jovial manner, and Jay said he never thought he'd see the day. Jimmy asked if Jay ever got a chance to ask Sami about lying to his face, and Jay told him no, but the tribal chief had to look into Sami's eyes, and he'd see what he needed to see, and then we all got the result at War Games. Sheamus jumps both of them and says he and McIntyre will be waiting for them. Not a ton of Bloodline progression beyond reinforcing the latest developments, but it did set up the Usos against Sheamus and McIntyre, so this did its job. Damage Control is back for a promo, and Bayley says that no one in the SmackDown locker room would step up to them at War Games, and as the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion, that disappoints her. How dare you disappoint Bayley? She's interrupted by Liv Morgan, who says she's here if Bayley has a problem with the SmackDown Women's roster. I do! I have a problem with the SmackDown Women's roster. Liv counts 3 against 1, says it's fair, then fights all of them for about 10 seconds before being triple teamed. Stupid babyface. But then, who should make the save but Tegan Nox and her new hair? Of all the choices Tegan could have made with her hair, I think she made all of them. Tegan also gets overwhelmed, but Liv gets a kendo stick and fights off damage control. I like that Michael Cole didn't ignore Tegan's history with Dakota Kai, and it is good to see another returning star added to the mix. 3 out of 5. Karrion Kross cuts a promo while Scarlett is doing her tarot cards before we get a spooky Uncle Howdy promo, and then we had our main event final match in the SmackDown World Cup between Ricochet and Santos Escobar. The first couple of minutes was rife with outside interference from Legado del Fantasma, but thankfully, the referee ejected the whole lot of them, and we could actually enjoy our little match here. Wade also correctly pointed out on commentary that Legado was a key factor in Escobar's previous 2 wins, and now had to go at it alone. There was some absolutely nutty stuff in this match, like Ricochet stepping up and balancing himself on the barricade before Escobar got on the barricade and hit a Hurricane Rana off the barricade to the floor. Blew my mind, but they didn't stop there. There was a top rope Hurricane Rana and a Poison Rana, and Ricochet landed on his feet on a Hurricane Rana in the spot that all the flippy dudes keep doing, but it is cool every single time. Escobar and Ricochet managed to block each other's finishers a number of times before Ricochet finally hit the 630 splash to get the win. They treated this like a really big deal with a pyro display, as Ricochet held his trophy on the stage as he squared off with Walter to end the show. This tournament and this match in particular has done a really good job of rehabbing Ricochet, and now his IC title match with Walter feels so much more important than the one they had from June where Walter won the title. This main event gets a 5 out of 5. This was another fun SmackDown, what can I say? The opener and the main event were the 2 things most worth going out of your way to see, but sprinkle a Walter match in the middle and you have a show that did a very good job setting up title matches for the next 2 weeks, which is very important considering how much time there is until the Royal Rumble. This SmackDown gets a 4 out of 5, but before I go, do make sure to check out the latest video on Parts of Unknown dropping just today, that being Ollie Davis's 10 favorite wrestlers. He had a difficult time narrowing it down.